morning and welcome to
This
the
conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the meeting. Lander County Commissioners meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway Commissioners, November the 16th, 2022. Lander County Courthouse Commissioners, Chamber 50, State Route 305, Battle Mountain, Nevada. Also at teleconferencing, Austin Courthouse Commission Office, 122 Main Street, Austin, Nevada. Or you can go audio conference by GoToMeeting. Barring technical difficulties, call in is 1-866-899-4679 and the access code is 849-277-573. You can go to the website www.gotomeeting.com. Kathy, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence, please. Okay, the Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars. Patsy?
No report, thank you.
Kathy?
No, I have no reports.
I have none. Brian?
No report.
JR?
No report.
No report. Staff reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. Bert?
Good morning, Commission. First, I'd like to update you guys on the Austin TV. So we did hire a law firm, Foster Garvey, and they're out of Washington, D.C., who are representing us, trying to renew our licenses up there in Austin. So that is moving forward, and we will have further updates as that kind of progresses. I'm not sure if our DA would like to add anything to that, but.
Well, we lost our licenses, and we had to basically appeal them taking our licenses and request it to be put back in place. And there's like 5 or 6 counties, and most attorneys aren't qualified to work with the federal FCC. So I'm not. Nobody in my office says, we called our usual law firm in Vegas, no one's qualified there. So I had been talking to this attorney in Washington, D.C. for about 2 weeks up to that date, and he was telling me what we have to do and how difficult it was, and so I gave that information to Bertola. We discussed it, and then he talked to the attorney, and he put in, and Lakin did a lot of work on this, and we were able to put in the appeal by the deadline. We had like an hour to go, so that was, and thanks to Lakin, and we were able to do that successfully. So, but they haven't decided yet, but we are engaged and in the game.
Yeah, so that is good news. And then I also did reach out to Doug and John Shervey from the BLM and asked them to come today, but it conflicted with some other meetings that they had, so they couldn't come to speak on some of the Robertson mine. That seems to be the main one. However, there are a couple other mine expansions going on around here with some dewatering projects that I think the commission needs to be aware of. Is what I've found out is there's a lot more to this than what I am. My knowledge base will allow me to help with. So I'm hoping to come back before the commission and either bring some outside help in to review and update the commission on these things. But that'll probably be on a future agenda item to approve some outside people to come in and help us, or hire an individual similar to Jake Tibbetts, which is a tall order. So that's on, hopefully be on an upcoming agenda. We are keeping up on it the best we can, but I don't want to misrepresent and let you guys think that for 1 minute that I am capable of handling that myself. And then what else do we have? I think that's all I have for now. I think anything and everything else will be coming back before you guys on future agenda items.
Okay. Public comment for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and/or attend and make comments on any non-agendized item at the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person, again, at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based upon viewpoint may not be restricted. Is there any public comment? Come on up. Press the button on the. There you go.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pam Harrington for the record. I'm a Lander County resident. I live on Indian Creek. And first I want to congratulate those of you that won your races. It was good to see. And also I wanted to thank you for making Lander County a great place to live. You have protected our constitutional rights and our conservative values, so thank you. Anyway, I'm here today because I'd like to have you on your agenda, maybe at the next meeting, as someone that might help out with the Robertson Mine proposal. I've been working in that space for 25 years. I've done a lot of NEPA analysis and provided comments for my job, but this would be for me as a Lander County resident and to help the commission, because you don't have a Jake Tibbetts right now, and I could help. And I am biased because of course that could impact us, but I know how to be professional and look at documents and provide advice. So I wanted to offer that. So I'd like to provide, maybe if you would entertain this at the next meeting, in your packet, I'll provide my resume and some references and stuff so you know more about me. But you could ask me anything you like at this time too while I'm here. I just feel like I have something to offer here, and I do have an interest in it, of course, and it would be just derelict if I didn't do this. So appreciate if you consider that. And I won't take any more time other than if you want to ask me some questions now, I'm here. Oh, you can't?
We can't do that.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You need to fill out an agenda request, and then we can discuss.
Okay, yeah, put me on the agenda for next.
Yeah, just do agenda request and provide your resume and stuff. email
Sure.
For background.
Yep, I'll provide that to Bert then. Excellent, thank you. Okay, and I won't stand for the rest of the meeting because I'm actually going to go meet with BLM. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during the meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's Office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. We need to amend the consent agenda. If you follow down in the parentheses, we have 6 and 6, so we need to amend the last 6 to a 7. So I
Arthur,
think,
can you read all those in, please?
Read them all in.
okay. Approval of November 16th, 2022 agenda notice. Approval of August 23rd, 2022 meeting minutes. Approval of September 22nd, 2022 meeting minutes. approval of October 13th, 2022 meeting minutes, approval of October 27th, 2022 meeting minutes, and the second six, number 7, approval of payroll change requests.
I will make a motion that we approve number 3, the approval of the September 22nd, 2022 meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion, Patsy.
Patsy made the motion, Brian seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, I didn't receive any other meeting minutes, but on number 1, we do need to amend today's agenda to,
reflect that the number 4 should be
Yeah.
number 3.
Yeah, we need to-
and that's all?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, I have 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I do 1, 2, 4 too.
So
Yeah, I've
it
got
needs
1,
to just
2, 4.
reflect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
Right.
6.
We'll amend the parentheses numbers to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
I'll second the motion.
That's made the motion, Brian seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Okay. Approval of, we don't have any payroll changes today, do we?
No.
No. Okay. Number 1. Oh. Number 1, for discussion possible action to approve, disapprove the payment of bills. Let's do Patsy's check first. 217386, we'll pull that one. We need a motion for the remain,
I'll make a motion that we approve the check for Patsy.
okay?
I'll second it.
Brian made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and I recuse myself because it's my personal travel.
Alright, okay. Now we have, 217445 and 217536 for Commissioner Kathy.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 checks.
Second.
Okay, Brian made the motion, Patsy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes.
I will accuse myself because it's too unclear.
Kathy recuses herself. Okay, and now we have Brian. 217389, 217481, 217550, 217522.
I make a motion, we approve those checks, 522, 389, 481, and 550.
I'll second.
Patsy made the motion,
Mike second.
Kathy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
And was that on the 3 checks, Patsy? Was that on 3 checks that you just did?
4.
4?
Four
So
checks.
I'll abstain. 3 of them were made to my employer, and then 2 invoices of check 217522 were for the improvement of the courthouse, which my wife volunteers her time over there, so just in transparency, I'll abstain from that as well.
Okay.
Thanks for your explanation. Okay, now we
I make a
have,
motion, we approve the balance of the checks.
On second.
Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded, to approve everything else, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 2, update from Chris Porter and Porter Group regarding federal government affairs. We're on the phone for this?
I know.
Chris is on the phone.
Chris is on the phone.
Okay.
Welcome to our Honorable John Porter. Good to have you with us.
Like coming home. This
Yeah.
thank you.
Will you ask Chris if you can hear? Brian?
Brian, will you ask if Chris can hear?
Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman, good morning. My name is John Porter. It's really a pleasure to be here. Due to illness in the family, Chris wasn't able to make it, but I'm happy Chris didn't come because he wouldn't leave. I assure you, Chris would be here tomorrow, as would I, and it's really great to come home for me. And as I had the chance to drive from Reno this morning and then on to Salt Lake to catch a flight, it brings back so many fond memories, having spent almost 40 years of my life here in Nevada and now spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C. But I say this very sincerely, it's really great to be here. Patsy, good to see you. and I would love to stay longer and look forward to coming back. I thought maybe what I would do is tell you quickly a little bit of my background, just for those that don't know. I was a city councilman and mayor of Boulder City for about a decade. Toughest job in my life, local government. I applaud you. I then felt if I could make a difference by running for state senate, I would run. So I was then honored to represent Nevada, in Southern Nevada, but the whole state in the Nevada State Senate for 8 years. And then crazy, I raised my hand and said, yeah, I'll run for Congress. And it's been a real opportunity for me, having served in all levels of government and having had my own business the better part of my life, to try to share some of those experiences with folks like you here today, Chairman and the commissioners. And if I may, I just want to tell a quick story. My first day on Capitol Hill as a member of Congress, and they separate you. You get there, and the Democrats go here, Republicans go here, or vice versa. And I still remember my first meeting, and I had again been in the Senate at the time and the council, so I still have this nature when I'm at a meeting like yours, like I'm going to vote on stuff. So when you do retire and you attend meetings, you're still going to have that instinct of, now am I going to vote yay, nay, or abstain? So it's my absolute first meeting, and Republican. We were in charge of Congress at the time, and again today, my understanding, I was the co-chairman of a committee. And the chairman couldn't make it, and again had, like many of you, whatever the committee you're on, you chair meetings as local government officials. So I sat down, and in Washington, 435 members, it's pretty scripted most of the time, because just the mechanics of 435 people, even if they all got along, you still have to have systems, right? So they put this script in front of you, and it's not unlike an agenda, for your meeting, like today. And at that point, for 18 years, either at the beginning of the meeting or at the end of the meeting, I would say, is there any public comment? So, Chairman, I appreciate public comment. And our staff on both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republican staff, rushed me, turned off the mic, and said, Congressman, we don't have public comment in Washington. I went, oh, man. I know how important it is to the process, but just want to share, those experiences when I can, that it is a different world, and we're there every day trying to help all of you in the community and your residents. And whether we're in Boulder City or here in the county, Northern Nevada, wherever we are, as public servants, it's never the same every day, and there's a lot of things that are not in the perfect science, but we really do try to take some of that experience and share opportunities for you and your residents. Our door is always open in DC. Congressman Amodei was there yesterday, had a fundraiser, and sends his best. Mark really has named our offices on the Hill as the Embassy of Nevada. So the full delegation uses our offices many times for fundraisers or events, because when you're on Capitol Hill, you can't talk politics or campaigns at all. I mean, literally, we're across the street from the Capitol, and members, whatever state they're from, come by and use our facility. And part of that is just creating relationships, because we know that, bless the Nevada delegation, and they've been very supportive of all of you, we're a small state, and we need 49 other states. And there is a hierarchy of members who are controlling agendas. So we really try very hard to make sure that members from other states, that we can interact with them. And the best way to do that is provide coffee and donuts, right, at our house. So it's part of our getting to know members, and we represent clients in most 50 states through associations, but we're not a large firm, and I don't want to be the largest firm, and I know that Chris would probably say the same. we try to be very selective, because I'm still a public servant, and you will be too, with retirement. And we decided that we would try to become an extension of the Nevada delegation, so we help everybody. Our job is to make it work, whoever wins. We certainly appreciate everything that the incumbents have done. But whether they're Democrat or Republican, our role representing you is to make sure that we get the job done. And we try very hard to get to know members of Congress across the country. Contrary to popular belief, most of them get along pretty well. That doesn't sell papers, of course, to say that they get along. But most of them are not unlike all of you. And some were county commissioners, some were city council. And I encourage that to run for Congress, you should be a requirement to be a local government, to be a commissioner or a city council person, and know when you go to the grocery store or you go to school, that you're dealing and working with people that are real people with real problems. So, quick update on the Hill, and unfortunately, Chris is on the line as well, and our whole team. But I guess I should state that there's 11 of us at the Porter Group, and we're a family business, so 3 of them are family members, and Chris is a lead in our organization. But that we are very bipartisan, and we make sure that, again, we work with all members of Congress. But what's happening on the Hill right now, I spent the night in Reno, and I realized that former President Trump has decided, I think he decided some time ago, but it's more formal, that he's running again. I think that was really kind of a given. But we watch that closely. Who's going to be in the White House in 2 years? Who's campaigning? We also watch really close who won across the country this week. Certainly at home is a priority, and I, like all of you, whenever I see a campaign sign or I see someone I know running for office, I'm there. I feel that, so, oh man, where are the numbers? How are we doing? And communicate frequently with, especially the Nevada delegation. But we watch closely. So what does this mean now? Mr. McCarthy, who is from California, now has been nominated by the Republicans to be voted on by the full body of Congress. So he did win. I believe he didn't get 30 votes, and all that really doesn't matter at the moment. But what's important about Mr. McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, a friend of mine, I've known him for years, we've worked together, he's he's from California. Now, California's another planet, I know, but he knows what public lands are, right? He's been to Nevada numerous times. He understands, the water issues. He understands air issues. He understands dealing with the federal government, with lands and energy. So I see that as a real positive, assuming he gets the full nod from the body in probably the first week of January. And right now, they're determining, not unlike all of you, after an election, they're deciding on the Hill now who's going to serve on what committee. Mark Amodei, bless him, again, dear friend, I think, of all of ours, gets stronger and stronger all the time. I mean, I am so impressed with Mark and his depth of knowledge. But right now, we're watching closely. Where will Mark be? Likely still on appropriations. That's a big deal, likely. Where will the rest of our delegation be? We don't know, but committees are being assigned right now. And then the Senate is, right now, it's a given that Democrats will control the U.S. Senate. There's a huge race in Georgia. They have their system works with an automatic special election if you get within a voter margin. So the Senate in in Georgia has not been determined yet. That will be the first week of December. But basically, the system will remain. It really was not an election of change. Most incumbent U.S. senators, I think, if not all, were reelected. Most governors across the country were reelected. And most members of Congress, 97% were reelected. Although major gains over the last 4 years, for Republicans, I do think some of my friends on the Republican side, and we say this with a smile, they were measuring curtains a little too early and measuring carpet. It's like you're gonna get a new office, so they were kind of rushing. And we're not sure what that majority is going to be, but they have to have 218, and again, Chris would know better, because he's been listening to the news this morning, but I do believe the House right now, Republicans are 217, need 218, but if you take the 20 or 30 out there, the odds are. So, what does all that mean? With basically the same government, there are likely things are going to continue progressing really quite well. And we can talk top line issues, but let's talk about what it means to all of you. Everything is in motion, from your congressional spending to your lands bills, and Chris will get more into the details. But we have the same people working on it, because when you lose as a member of Congress or the Senate, you're done. And all of a sudden, everything you've been working on can kind of disappear. So systems are in place, lame duck session. There's only 3 or 4 things they really need to vote on. One of them, 2 of them really are in your priorities. So with that, Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to Chris and the team to get into more details, if that's okay with you. Thank you. Chris, if you're there.
Yes, I'm here, and I first off want to make sure that my audio sounds okay, because I know we've had issues in the past.
I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Chairman, thank you so much. Commissioners, thank you. My apologies for not being there in person. I was really looking forward to it, and I hope you are all well. Wanted to give you an update on the lands bill, of course, also your earmark requests, and the latest on our meetings with Amtrak in regards to H-Stop and Battle Mountain. First, I'm going to go to the lands bill. The bill text has essentially been finalized by Senator Rosen. Really, there's only one outstanding item she needs from us as of today, is a one-pager on the Buffalo Valley track. So she can run that by Senator Manchin, who of course has jurisdiction over the committee of relevance for our lands bill. And Paula has been awesome. She's working on that for us right now, and hope to have that in the next couple of days, which puts us right on track for that. As we discussed previously, the lands bill, the county's lands bill, is wrapped up in the Fallon Range expansion amendment. That amendment does include Carson City, Douglas County lands bills, and a couple others. So we're an excellent company to get this done. So the goal of Senator Rosen and Senator Cortez Masto is to include the range expansion package, which includes our bill, as an unofficial amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. We are close to getting to that point right now. The NDAA will be going straight to conference, so they're going to actually bypass the Senate version of the NDAA and just go straight to conference, meaning that the House and the Senate are going to get together, talk about the package as a whole, and during that conference process is where the senators plan to include that Fallon Range expansion, of course, which includes our bill. So as of today, I talked to Kelly briefly yesterday. Kelly Riddle with Senator Rosen's office yesterday, and we're right on track. She really just got back in the office after this long campaign. She was out helping CCM and the rest of her party, but they are pushing forward to get this included in the NDAA. We have great partners in this effort. Not only the counties, other counties that I did mention, but the Navy really wants to see this done. The House and Senate Armed Services Committee really wants to see this done this year. And so since we're rolled into that Fallon Range expansion amendment, the likelihood is looking very good. Of course, nothing is 100%, but I feel really good about where we're at with that. The vote on the Authorization Act is still to be determined, but we are expecting a vote probably the second week of December, first, second, maybe third week, so sometime in December, but it will be done before the end of the year because it is a must-pass bill. They have to pass it by the end of the year. So during that period of time between now and then, I'll be working directly with Senator Rosen and Senator Masso's office in trying to jockey and help get that amendment moved forward. So I'm optimistic about the outcome of that. So, and I do appreciate the efforts from Mr. Ramos and his team and Paula and Commissioner Waits being on the calls, putting up with me every other week and all the questions. So thank you again for your efforts on that. Moving on to our federal funding successes. As we talked about before, we had 3 requests that ended up in the appropriations packages for FY23, which is the Lemire Building, the Austin Health Clinic, and the Community Center. So we got three separate earmarks. The Lemire Building for $1 million, the Austin Health Clinic for $800,000, and the Community Center we got $638,000, which is huge, and I'm very excited about. And again, Bert, I know you're there. Thank you for putting up with me with all the questions for that. But we're looking at passage on the spending package probably somewhere around December 15th. We're operating under a continuing resolution now, which means that they just kept the current funding levels of the government through December 15th. But I do expect passage of that probably on the same time period as the NDAA, which means that the county can expect to see those earmarked funds sometime either Q2, Q3, or Q4 next year. I don't have the exact time frame on that, but based upon what I've seen from previous earmarks from FY22, that's kind of been the timeline. And I look forward to helping the county with that process as we work with the departments to get that money funneled directly from the federal government down to the county. So $2.5 million roughly in federal funding coming to the community. Really excited and proud of that. And again, thank you to your team for assisting in that process. Moving on to the Amtrak stop. We had some great meetings with Alexander Coughlin, who's Amtrak's Senior Manager of Government Affairs. He passed along your resolution to request a stop in Battle Mountain, and he forwarded our request over to the Station Development Group for further consideration. I talked to, the last time I saw Alex was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and he said that he's in the works and it's on his radar. But I also would like to mention, and which I'll talk to your team about too, is that Alex would like to visit your community. He kind of wants to do a trip around Nevada, but also making one of those stops be in Hennepin County. So that's something I'll work with your team on getting Amtrak folks out there. Also in the works in this regard is I did bring this up to the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and they have expressed interest in assisting us with getting that stop there in Battle Mountain. So I know that we are going through an administration change, so I'll just renew those efforts under the new administration. But I would think that the new administration would be excited to see that opportunity exist as well. So that's something that I'm going to sort out as we move through the next month or so and get those meetings on the books. And that concludes my federal update piece of it. And I hope you all could hear me just fine during that.
So I have a question. With the Amtrak, with all the hoops that have to be jumped through, what years looking at, how long do we think that this was going to take to get this to come to fruition?
I think you summarized it well. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead if you'd like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't really hear, so I apologize.
The question, I think, is very germane when we're dealing with the railroads of any shape or form as another country, right? We do have a good working relationship with the Union Pacific and all the railroads. And then, of course, Amtrak in its negotiations with the UP. And so there's a lot of layers of this. So, Commissioner, I think this is a project that would be very difficult to put a time frame on until we actually get them here. and we have a little more time to find out where their funds are coming from, because that's the one thing they're gonna say, is likely gonna say, well, what's the community partnership, you know, what's the future of us and passenger count, and again, or a 2P, you know, with other products. But I think it's really worth getting that started. It could take some time, but it's also the environment. Amtrak doesn't have a lot of friends either when it comes to railroads. And they are looking for ways to elevate their own presence, especially here in the West. So that's, I'm sorry, a non-answer other than they express solid interest. Because sometimes the railroad, bless them, all of them, it's like, well, Congressman or John or Chris, you know, well, I'll be out there in a couple of years and we'll talk about it. But the fact that they're interested for a short-term score, that's really solid. And I think with the state of Nevada offering to be engaged as well. So it's a positive, but it's still a little bit unknown.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Amtrak during the last infrastructure law, the $1.2 trillion that Congress passed, they saw the biggest increase in funding, I think, in Amtrak's history. So they are looking to expand their services. I think if we had to add like a new line, it would take much longer, obviously, just due to NEPA studies and all the rest. But since we're on an existing line, Alex at Amtrak seemed to think that this was a real possibility. So again, that's a non-answer for timeline, but I think the stars are at least aligning to put us in the right spot.
Any more questions? I don't have any questions. I have a question. You're from Boulder City.
That's correct.
What happened to all the water in Lake Mead?
Well, I always blame Washington for everything when I can, Chairman. And again, I've been intimately involved with water, but I know I'll give you a brief answer. The problem is when the Colorado River was divvied up in the 30s, it was an all-time runoff year. And there's never been enough water to fill all those allotments. California, we have a lot of friends that move to Nevada from California, but California, they have been controlling a lot of that usage. And they are not as willing to compromise. But anyway, it's a good question, love to chat more, but it's a real problem.
Well, I had a boat at Colville Bay in 1973, and now the water's about 2 miles down from where the water was originally. That just, when they're talking about draining Parker Dam,
right?
And then they depleted 500,000 acre feet out of Flaming Gorge to save the next water body down.
The dominoes, yeah.
Those fountains are still flowing on the strip, but yet out here, mines have to buy water rights for the future for evaporation. So.
And that's a real issue, you know, bless Southern Nevada, they're doing a lot of steps, but evaporation is one of the biggest issues. And part of what they do is they recharge wells.
Right.
When they have water so the basin of Vegas, there's a lot of water wells still for residents. And of course, this water authority's been trying to get everyone to sign up into the system, but they recharge when they have water. And evaporation is a serious issue. And they're finally, I think, coming to terms with it, but thank you for bringing it up, it's a real problem.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's scary.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the years and years and years of water supply that has been supplying Nevada with water. It's gone. And once your water's gone, you don't have anything.
It's liquid gold.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is a very scary problem.
I mean, we're
Absolutely.
faced with dewatering projects around here. once that water's gone, you have nothing.
Well, thank you, Chris, for your update and keeping us on track, and thank you, Congressman, for
Thank you
the
very
special trip over, and
Happy to
we
be
wish
here.
you safety and some beautiful holidays.
Thank you, and look forward to, if you'll let us come back.
Thank
we'll
you.
come back. And Chairman, I have something for you. Can I approach? It's not huge. It's in my pocket, sorry.
That's fine.
And it's not chocolate, it's not gold, but it's a coin from US Congress.
Please,
So
thank you
this
very
will
much.
do this appropriately, like that. Wish you the
guess-
best. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Don't chew on it.
No, that's.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Wait a second, shake his
See you all in the theater, right?
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Done?
Safe, guys. Thank you. We'll see you in Washington with NACO, right? Please come. It's February.
Maybe.
Please.
Okay, number 3, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove Public Group LLC public surplus scope of work for the Lander County Public Surplus Auction.
I'm glad to
What
see
we
this
selling,
on here.
guys?
What's that?
I said, I'm glad to see this on here.
What are we selling?
Anything and everything. No, all, Sean Baker for the record. Everything that's over behind the old county building, the cars, sheriff's department old cars, anything, we'll start logging it after, this is the first step. Once this is approved, we can start logging stuff, taking pictures, uploading it to this website. This, agreement is actually nationwide, so they'll be selling it nationwide. Ted can correct me if I'm wrong on anything in there. What happens if we sell, say we sell a fridge for $100. The county will get the $100, but this company will get 10.5% on top of that. But that's to the seller, not to the county. So,
How much?
10.5
And we've got that.
in writing, and I'll need that in the motion, because there was two options between 9.5 where they held the money for 60 days, or 10.5 where we got the money up front. So we'd rather get our money up front, and the seller can pay the extra 1%.
This is the first time we've done something like this with a company, right?
Yes, the Cooperative Extension did this, not that long ago, that we helped them
okay.
with, so. But this is the first time the county's done it, yes.
Okay, and Counselor, you're okay with the contract?
Yes, as long as, we just had one small thing in it, whether it's 9.5 or 10.5.
Okay.
And the different paperwork, one had one, the other one had one, that's why he suggested in the motion that you put 10.5.
How long does this go on, till we sell everything, or is there a certain?
Yes, and if more, say, next year the sheriff's department has a car they want to surplus, it will put it right on this website, and it'll just keep rolling.
It just keeps going on and on.
Yep.
We can
So
sell
we
one
won't
thing at a
start,
time, we can sell 10 things at a time, it don't matter, so.
so we won't start collecting junk, we'll just start selling it off as it's in good shape for someone to take.
Excellent.
Right now, there's cars over there from the 70s, I imagine, and everything else, and no one's really gonna want them. They might have to go to a wrecking yard and we collect the money, I don't know, but we'll see where that goes.
Right, and 10.5 goes to this company.
That the buyer pays.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Additional.
yes.
Not the seller, I said that wrong, you're right,
Yeah,
Brian,
yeah.
the buyer, it's on the buyer's cost.
Not part of the amount, it's an additional 10.5 that the buyer pays.
Right.
The seller gets 100% of their money, the buyer, the charge is added onto the buyer.
So you'll take a picture and post it on this website, people can go on, place the
Yep.
bid, nice.
If they bid $100, then the final price will be 110.50.
And we'll put this out in the community too, we'll make flyers, QR codes where they can go to this website, because I think the community should have first dibs on buying some of the stuff they wanna buy, if they want it, I don't know, but.
Okay, so who's making this, I know we've got surplus now, but who makes the decision as it goes on, like, oh, let's do that for surplus?
Anything sent over there is surplus.
Well, I
Is
think
it?
Where does
Anything
that?
that can't be used in the county anymore goes to surplus. Austin has a yard where there's stockpiling stuff that they can't use anymore. They're tired of spending money on because it's not worth it. So once a piece of equipment becomes not worth fixing, it goes to surplus.
But that we have to
The
approve this.
department head, I believe, is who's mainly responsible for
Okay,
what
I'm
is
wondering where
surplus.
it's gonna land, I mean, is it is it gonna be up to Donnie? I mean, we were saying, I mean, let's just say that we have a computer, then where do we go? I mean, who's our contact?
It'd be me and Donnie.
Okay,
Well, in years past, I thought a surplus list came to the commission to approve that everything on the surplus list, right, before it went to auction. The
Well-
last one we did with Grace, that's what I remember.
That's
Long
how it
time ago.
happened, but he has the legal authority
Right.
to decide
And I like this, I like
on
this
your
living.
behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The-
that's right.
The manager has the legal authority to approve that.
And
okay.
it may be appropriate to bring items back to the commission, because what we don't want is things that are fixed up or nice, or that money's been put into, then put up for surplus, where somebody can then buy them when we have more invested in them than we ever get in return. So it may be good to bring some of these lists back before the commission, and maybe we get 10 items at a time, and come back to you guys and ask to get approval to surplus these things. I
Well, then
know that's
we'd
been a
ha-
problem in the past.
We'd have to decide, like, if we want a certain dollar amount before it comes back to us, or something that's questionable.
You guys can put any limits you would like on it. If you guys would like a dollar amount, if you would like
That's what I
a
was thinking
year,
too, dollar
Something
amount.
like that.
or a number of items, it's entirely up to this commission.
See, he has
I-
legal,
I don't want it to bog us down on a
the
lot
county
of,
manager has legal authority
Yeah.
to sell something on surplus at the present market value.
Bert and Donnie know
Okay.
that equipment better than us.
So he can do on his own as long as he's receiving present market value for that.
okay.
So it's different, this approach is different from that approach.
Usually if anything's over there right now though, it's been used.
Right.
It's had a hard life, so.
Everything that's in the county yard over there now needs to go.
Okay,
I mean, it's,
There's more of a concern of even getting bids, I think, at this point,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some of it is so aged.
okay, so
As
when,
Sean said, some of it might not even sell, so we might just end up having scrap iron it, so.
and anyone can bid on it, like our employees can, if they say, oh, I would like to fix that up that you're selling, so they go on the website and they can buy it, and there's nothing that's gonna restrict that, right?
I don't think so.
No, they've got just.
Unless you put a restriction on it, but-
No, I don't. We're trying to get rid of it.
Right.
Right,
think
no,
with
I'm just asking, I mean,
I think with it going through this,
wanna know what our limits are, and what
through
we
this
can do.
company, it's kind of takes us out of it, so people aren't saying, oh, you're being biased against them
Right,
or something like
so,
that, so.
so once we give it up to surplus, it's wide open, and an employee can bid on it if we wanna bid on it and
I believe
whatever.
so.
and I'd say in the next years, anything that new comes up, we do a list and bring it forward and
Well, it's,
do something like that.
you can't mix up the fact that this is an auction, and he has legal authority to sell something at present market value. This auction is not present market value,
Right,
so there is a distinction there, and it's an important one.
Yeah,
So-
he could say, we have something to surplus that he knows an adjacent county could use, he's like, give me fair market value, we'll
Yes.
sell it to you, so he has that authority. which we-
Without
yes,
without
exactly.
coming to you.
Right,
can we do a minimum bid on something that we give them to put on site?
I believe they said that
Yes, we can.
We could do
I mean, if we
minimum
have
bids.
an old fire truck or something like that, we wanna say, we want a minimum of $1,000 for
Yeah.
that, and we'll keep it, so you can do that too.
Yes. This is the first step to enter into an agreement with this company so we can get some of this stuff rolling where we can
Okay.
dig into it.
But if you've been over there to see any of that stuff, the majority of that stuff is, the rats have been living in it.
Well, I know what we have now, but I'm saying is it's
Right, in
going
the
on,
future, you're right,
and,
yes.
you know, those things will be all considered, so.
I'm sure the undersheriff is gonna be disappointed that it'll leave his property.
You have stuff you're gonna get rid of, Robert?
There's a lot of cop cars over there, old cop cars over there.
They like
That
keeping
old
bids.
stuff might have.
He
value.
likes that stuff. Robert loves it.
There's cars over there they impounded probably 30 years ago, so it's just,
Okay. Any more discussion, any more concerns about this? Everybody's clear on Bert's responsibilities and Donnie's responsibilities and the 10.5? Okay. Any public comment? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, approve the Public Group LLC Public Surplus Scope of Work for the Lander County Public Surplus Auction
At 10.5.
Ed?
plus 10.5.
I'll second.
Okay, JR made the motion, Kathy seconded it. All, there's no public comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Aye.
Number,
Thanks, guys.
number 4. For discussion, possible action, approve, disapprove the annual Parade of Lights on December 3rd. The parade will start at 6 p.m. Roads to be closed will be Front Street, Broad Street, A Street, and Altenburg, ending at Elquist Park. You're doing this, right, Kathy?
Yeah.
Ron signed off on it. Highway Patrol signed off
Yep.
on it. We're good.
I'll make a motion that we approve the annual Parade of Lights on December 3rd. The parade will start at 6 p.m. Roads will be closed on Front Street, Broad Street, 8th Street, and Altenburg, ending at the Elquist Park. And we authorize the chair to sign.
I'll second.
That's made the motion, Brian seconded it. Do we have any public comment? I'll just say every year this has just been a great community activity. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll be abstaining.
Okay, that's it. If the motion passed 4-1, Kathy abstained. Okay, number 5, we're gonna table?
No.
No?
Oh, yes, yes. Number 5 is good.
Okay. And the reason that we're tabling this is because somebody from this law firm couldn't show up to explain their increases. Number 6, for discussion and possible action, approve, disapprove Rail Sense proposal to facilitate a rail intermodal terminal in Battle Mountain in return for a success fee. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, great.
Good to have you back, Tom.
Is this thing on?
Press the button, there you, when it's green. There you,
In front.
Which button? There we go. So I'm Tom Erickson from Rail Sense Enterprises. Before, when I've been here, I've been a subcontractor for OnTrack North America. But today, they would be a subcontractor for me. We flipped the course here. So hopefully you've been able to see the proposal that I sent to Bert on October the 17th, and I sent you each a copy of what we're talking about. And I'm hoping you can fire some questions at me about it, or would you like me to just dig into what it is?
I have some questions. On the contract under C, consideration, it's talking about that it's basically a success. We'll pay you $350,000 if 2 requirement stipulations are met. I just want to make sure I'm asking Ted and make sure I'm understanding it. I see that one of them is, one of the stipulations is, let me see here. So both, basically, successful startup shall be defined as both the placement of sufficient fixed and portable assets in the project in order to generate rail traffic, and also startup of actual rail operations as indicated by the initial placement of empty containers at the project via either UP or BNSF rail service. So I just want to make sure, so to get to that point, Lander County is probably going to have to invest quite a bit of money. So I want to make sure that we don't invest money and that we have the structure there, but yet we have no players that come to the table. I just want to make sure that I'm reading it right, and it just, contracts can sometimes be vague, but I want to make sure that before we pay a success fee and that we've invested this money, that we actually have infrastructure there, and we have players at the table who sign contracts that they're going to do business in Lander County for such amount of time. So I just want clarification on that.
Yes, you're right at the heart of the issue. So what has to happen is that I have to come back before you, I don't know how many more times, to feed you what I'm finding out, and to get you to pass a resolution to invest millions of dollars probably in this. So there's a lot of homework that needs to be done, and a lot of salesmanship that needs to be done in order to get to that point. And at any point along the way, you can say, no thanks, goodbye, and I get nothing. So why in the world would I want to put myself in a position where I'm years away from getting paid by you guys? And I guess the answer is, I'd like to go back to the little discussion on Amtrak this morning for a little bit. Whenever I go to a party and people find out that I'm a rail consultant, they want to talk about passenger trains. And they ask me about this, and I've gotten really tired of it over my life because I'm a freight guy. So Amtrak is this important, and freight is this important. Now, it would be great if you had a stop out here, and Amtrak stopped and some people could get on and off. But it's not essential to the health and growth of your economy here that happens. I think I see that there's a use of this asset out here, the railroad going through your county, that the pieces haven't fallen together. And I'm totally captivated by the idea of making those pieces come together. And I think I'm confident enough that they could, if I do this right, that I can come back to you and say, hey, we've got these players that want to use it. We've got these players that want to operate it. We've got to lay out in front of you the answers that I don't have today. So I'm only asking for your go ahead to let me go make the case to you sometime in the future. And maybe it means coming back every 6 months and filling you in on where I am. Maybe I'll be really successful and 6 months can come back and have the package put together. I don't think I will. This is a big project. There are lots of moving pieces. And frankly, I don't know anybody else who could do it.
So just the clarification, because when I see the success rate, and I think if I'm understanding what you're saying, you don't get any money up front, you don't get any money during, if you are successful, if we actually have this out here, then we pay you the $350,000.
That's correct.
At that point.
In the next 3 years.
Right.
There's a 3-year period
Right.
from the signing of the contract.
So if this whole thing comes together and it happens that the first container is placed 3 years and 1 day
Right.
from when you sign this, sorry, Tom.
Okay,
So,
and you have looked at the contract?
Those are the terms of the contract,
Legally.
yes.
Yeah,
Those are
okay,
the
and
terms of the
you're okay with
contract.
it legally, we don't need to make any changes?
Oh, no, it's,
Okay.
if he successfully performs
Right.
within the next 3 years, then we would pay him a $350,000.
Okay, so we'd have to put this in the
success fee.
budget every single year as it goes along, right?
Well, we currently are budgeted. We have a fairly large budget for the rail park currently.
Right, because some of it's gonna go to the park and to the rest, so I'm saying, we'd still have to make sure this extra $350 was in
Right.
every year as we go along. Okay, well, as
At least
long
for
as
3
legally
years.
you're okay with the contract?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Okay,
And
I
then
do, and if you don't mind, I think is what Brian's saying, I'm understanding a little better now, is that in this contract, and maybe Ted can clarify this, is if it's one container or if it's 10, it doesn't really say anything about any substantial business being formed there, and if we just put 20 feet of track there and drop a container, it can
Right.
fulfill the contract, and I think, is that where,
that's exactly where I was going.
okay. Maybe we need to clarify the terms of what
success is.
success is.
Yes, exactly. That's my
I
concern.
did not see that until I kind of gathered where Brian was going with that.
That's my concern.
I see where you're going with that. I had assumed there would have to be a large investment by the county for this happen. What if there's some circumstance where you wouldn't have to make a big success? So, if Mr. Herrera or whoever could suggest, well, this would make more sense to us, I'm on board.
So a couple questions on the report that On Track North America did. We're kind of building around the agricultural and hay production, and I was surprised to see that with all these, like our neighboring counties, we put up a lot of hay.
Yeah.
So I just talked to some local hay farmers around here. I said, hey, where's the majority of your hay go? Oh, we sell it to the dairies in California.
Yeah.
So my question is, so if this rail spurs here, would this give the brokers is it a cheaper alternative to shipping on rail versus truck from Nevada to California? Or
Well,
what
it-
would be the benefit?
Well, it could be, yes. The whole idea is that they would use this because it's cheaper than to ship by
That would be the
truck.
main reason, right?
Yeah,
Just
you have to
cost.
put together all the pieces. You have to have rail service and rail pricing. And I forget the exact quote that the congressman said, but dealing with the railroads like dealing with another country or something. He's something to that effect. Well, it is. You have to know how to talk to them and put it together. But there is a certain portion of the hay here that is exported through the Port of Oakland.
Okay.
It's impossible to know how much. Most of it does go to dairies, local.
I'd be interested in knowing that number of like what is actually imported out of the country versus like what is actually used here, like for the dairies. Because
Yeah, so would I. So as near as I can figure, there's about 650,000 tons of hay that comes out of these 5 counties. So for a long time, well, where is it going and how much? So I've been to the Port of Oakland, trying to get numbers from them, talked to the individual brokers who handle it, and they all agree that there's about 650. It used to be 1 million, now it's down to 600, 700.
Well,
But
the destination is gonna depend on the quality of the hay. If it's dairy hay, it goes certain places, and if it's just grade hay, then it goes someplace else. But I'm glad that Brian brought this topic up, because thinking about this, you and I are old enough to remember elevator operators, right? Where'd they go, right? Truckers. Are truckers gonna be the new elevator operators and they're gonna disappear? I mean, we have fuel and we have tires. I don't know what kind of economic impact it'll have if we don't have the trucks running this hay.
all I know is that there should be an economic benefit to shipping this by rail, particularly if it's going to the Port of Oakland, and particularly if it's going to horse farms in the east. And some of it does do that. So I'm thinking that 10 to 20% of the hay could do that, and that would be sufficient to make this terminal go.
And then let me ask you that, and this might be a question Sean can answer too, is that just in a little bit of the questions I've been asking and whatnot, a lot of this hay that goes out of the country, right, that's exported, it's in cube form. So like they actually cube the alfalfa. So any of the stuff that's exported, is it not cubed? Is it just shipped out on bales? It's all cubed, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. If you can answer that.
Isn't it sent to California and California cubes it?
Sean knows this business.
Yeah, but
Okay.
go ahead.
I don't
Hi,
know
I'm
who
Sean
you are.
Baker.
Oh, hi, Sean.
He's a hay farmer
Are
by
you
his family.
B-A-K-K-E-R?
Yep.
Okay, well, I tried to stop off at Baker Farm yesterday.
I'll give you my dad's number when we're done. You can reach out to him.
I think I talked to your mom yesterday, as a matter of fact.
No.
No, it wasn't my mom. So
Okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody.
it's all good. But yeah.
The hay that's going into containers for export has to be compressed again.
Yeah.
And so part of the deal is we'd have to find somebody who could compress it again here in Battle Mountain.
I was gonna say that'd be a possible industry that we could bring as well.
That's right,
Should be
and one of the
considered, right.
problems is that the cost of these compressors has gone up. So it used to be $1 million, now it's more than $1 million, I understand.
Right. Well, and some compress and some cut it, so they can take a 1-ton bale, Sean Baker for the record, and they slice it. So they slice it down to a cube, or they package it into bags even, and then they put those into containers and ship those off. Is that, or are you looking at a cube system?
So I'm looking the way that like High Mountain does it.
Okay.
Where they cut it up and compress it again. So everything's complex. So the hay that's going east to the horse farms is not compressed again.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what who you find that wants to do this, which way you're gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, it's just, I think we just need to, exactly, it's looking at the statistical, exportation of, out of Lander County, of like where it's actually going, how much is actually leaving the country, how much is going east, how much is going to the dairies. Those would be interesting figures, cause I had no idea, I mean, we put up a lot of hay here in northern Nevada.
And just because it's doing that now, doesn't mean that with a different transportation structure, it couldn't actually grow the industry.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Have you reached out to ACX?
Yes, I've talked to their guys, and actually the guy that is the head guy now, and the one that used to be, who's now over in,
Okay.
you know,
What was their thoughts on something like this?
they're interested. Keep us posted, keep coming back.
Okay.
We wanna know if you can pull this off, because their cost has gone up to $90 a ton coming out of Winnemucca going to the Port of Austin.
So part of it is the trucking cost. So to truck it from the farms out here to Battle Mountain to put on a rail would be a whole lot cheaper than the trucking cost to get a trucker to come out of California to move it back. And then they can only haul, because of the laws in California, they can only haul a 40-foot trailer instead of doubles or triples.
Do we have any paid trucking businesses in Lander County that would be hurt by the rail?
Not to move hay.
I didn't think so. So it would definitely be an advantage because the ranchers could truck it from the ranch to the rail.
So all the bands you see going down 80 or 305 or 50 that say Landstar, most of those are packing hay. Because they want it covered from here to there so it doesn't get weathered by the time they gotta process it there. But again, here, to truck it from the valley to here, you could pull doubles covered.
Right.
Or if the weather's good, you wouldn't even have to cover it, but I mean, it's definitely would be an added benefit.
But then we would need to compress it and cube it here.
And I've never
Not
actually seen that
necessarily.
process done, I've just been told
Only if
about it.
it's going for export.
That's right,
Yes.
that's right.
That was my next part of my statement.
Cause you could put it on rail here and the trucking cost would be down to ship it to the dairies in California, Tulare and Central California.
Then you have different grades of, you got dairy grade, which is the highest.
Yeah, your first cutting's usually dairy, but they also, the exporters want that to export too, so they kind of fight with each other over who's getting what.
But if we didn't have somebody to cube it, they could just still send it to California and California cube it.
Yes.
Right.
Or
mean, so,
send it to the dairies in
I mean,
California,
if
and
we
it'd
don't,
still be an added
it's not
cost.
predicated on us having somebody here to cube
No,
it.
exactly, it's not, I was looking
So-
at just another business venue.
Well,
that we could
right,
bring
which
down.
could be an offshoot. I mean, those are all things that are
And a lot
possibilities.
depends on the economy. If the economy's doing good locally, then it goes to the dairies here because they can
Okay,
afford it.
but
If
we-
it's not, they export it. It all depends on the economy.
But we need to make a determination of how much is coming back to Lander County for us to use the definition of success
That's right.
before we
So,
sign this contract.
I'm all in favor of the success based, we just need to define what success is.
Okay. Do we need to do that today?
We need to define,
okay the contract,
we need to define the startup.
I can tell you, the
Startups.
valley out here probably produces over 100,000 tons a year.
Oh, here?
And that's just our one valley, between all the farmers.
So that fits with, so the numbers that I've come up with for 5 counties is 650,000 tons last year. And it used to be 1 million. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, which Humboldt's, I didn't realize, they put up a lot of hay.
They put up a lot of hay.
Yeah, they do.
And if I can just quickly talk about some other things that have intrigued me here,
Yes,
30
please.
seconds. So you see the container trains going back and forth through here. The ones going that way, it's mostly empties coming from the Midwest. How can you stop some of these empties on their way?
Right.
Put something in them. If they're going back to the Far East empty, put something in them, which means that if you're going to actually load the container here, you would have to compress it here because you're actually loading the container that's going to go on the ship to the Far East right here.
Well,
So that's a consideration. And then another consideration is think how many drivers it takes to drive from here to California versus how many engineers and conductors are on that train and how many containers. And the fuel is 1/4. So a steel wheel on a steel rail versus a rubber tire on pavement. It's 1/4 the fuel, 1/4 the pollution.
Wow,
Wow.
that's interesting.
Well,
It's
So how
definitely a
would
good
they-
idea.
How would they get the hay back east from here when our rail's going the other way?
right, that was.
Well, actually, the rail goes both directions.
Right.
So we'd have to find somebody who is making empty containers domestically here, and they're 53-foot containers here. The ones that go in ships are 40 feet long. So you'd have to find somebody who, it's worth his while to bring 53-foot empty containers here that want to go back to the east. So that is yet another question mark. Can we find, so like the Hub Group? They have,
How many bales can you put in a sea container?
I've never seen that process.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, you might get 2 in there.
I know on a regular 40-foot trailer, you can fit about 28 bales, so, and that's what they
28.
put them in the vans to ship down there, so.
the weight of the container in Oakland after they compress it is about 20 tons, about 40,000 pounds in a 40-foot container. So
10 bales.
how much would you have
10
to
bales?
compress?
About 10 bales. 12 if they're averaging 1,800 pounds, but.
So what is success? What do we need?
Well, you need to decide what the definition of successful startup. And that's purely up to you, because
Could we say something about the infrastructure that would have to be built? So so a hang-up is, what if you just put a little sidetrack out here and you call that a terminal? So could we somehow talk about the size of the terminal that's built and its capacity, so that there's a baseline of this amount of infrastructure is what counts. If
Well,
we-
excuse me, I think the problem's on the second prong. The placement of sufficient fixed and portable assets in the project, you can put a minimum, fine, but I think the problem the commissioners are having in also startup of actual rail operations as indicated by the initial placement of empty containers at the project. So there's 2 prongs to this success. First is the infrastructure, and that's pretty easy to decide what's the minimal amount of infrastructure. But the second prong is the problematic one. Because like Commissioner Sparks says, if one container's sitting there,
And we may end up paying for the infrastructure.
oh, we have to.
So we put all the money in and you're gonna get the success ratio. No, we need the success.
but-
Yeah.
Let me suggest that actually the first prong is the most important.
It's
Because
the most important.
either I have to convince you to put up the money, which means I'm coming to you with people that have signed contracts. We're gonna use it like a take or pay type thing, so you know it's gonna get used before you put up the money. Or I find somebody, which is the less likely, that puts up the money themselves, somebody else.
Well, I don't think the commission has a problem spending the money to build the infrastructure. My main concern is, once we do that, we just don't have this glorified rail spur out there with nobody interested, and that we call it successful because some company said, yeah, we'll put a container there. And then that's what we're dealt with this $50 million project, and we have one company that committed and they put a couple, you know what I'm saying? That's not what I want. What I want is that we invest the money in the infrastructure to bring in a legitimate industry into our town, and that we have players at the table, committed, business licenses in hand, ready to conduct business.
Contract.
I'd like to kick that can down the road in this sense.
Okay?
I'm not gonna come back and convince you to put the money up unless I have in my pocket, here, I've found people that are gonna sign a contract with you to use it.
That's right.
You're not gonna put up that money. So let me kick the can down the road and come back the next time when I'm asking you for the money.
Right.
And then have the proof in hand at that point.
And I see your point, and again, it's contract language, I'm not an attorney, it's just my concern, it's,
Well, there's a valid concern here as to what is actual rail operations. That's the only problem I see. I mean, I understand that the county has to do the infrastructure, that should be obvious. But once the infrastructure is put in place, what are the actual rail operations? And this is very ambiguous, your definition of actual rail operations.
That's because, what would satisfy, if you get the railroad to agree to serve a place, how many times do they have to serve it before, do they have to serve it for a year?
I would say that actual rail operations is the availability of service, is the fact that it is being serviced. I mean, how many times? Well, it depends on the product, I guess, but if you have the infrastructure and nothing else, you don't have anything except a lot of money spent by the county. So what you need is actual rail operations. And that has to be defined.
Did you ship cattle by train?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of
There's a
options.
lot
I
of
think
options,
once-
yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. It's a matter of getting the spur in place, and maybe the language the commission is looking for is something like a signed contract with the provider on rail. Maybe that is success.
Yeah.
Once a contract comes before you guys and it's signed to operate off of this rail spur, it shows the success and we're up and operational.
Because honestly, I think
Is
A
that-
certain volume, you mean? Like, and it could be cumulative, you could have this guy and it has to add up to a certain volume?
Yes.
Can we actually put this on like our next agenda and have you folks talk and come up with some ideas on what you think might be successful and bring back before us as
Is that
part
all
of
right
the
with you, Tom?
contract?
That's fine.
Because I think you've got some good ideas, but we need to sit down
Well, it's
and
a
talk
great
about
idea,
it.
it's just-
And I don't think that has to be with us.
I'm concerned with
Yes.
what the definition of actual rail operations are. That's it. That's my only concern.
Okay, so we've got a little homework to do, and then as soon as you can get that on, if you can get it on for the next agenda,
You bet. So we'll come together and try to modify this section of the
Great.
contract. The rest of the contract is okay with the commission. It's just this success base that we need to clarify. And once we get that clarified, then we can come back to that modification.
I think that's pretty much
Fair
it.
enough?
Yes, because I would like us to make sure that we're not, if you build it, they will come, and when is that? And after, so.
And there it sits.
And there it sits, because I know, from working with Sheldon on stuff, that those kind of projects have been happened. The counties, have put out that type of money, in hopes that something would come, and those were industrial projects down the road, that they put out a ton of money, and nothing came, so I'm.
And that's what we were hoping to avoid with Tom, and I believe that can be done.
Yeah.
Not that I'm particularly for this particular issue, but back in 95, 96, 97, when I was negotiating contracts for the Teachers Association with the contract, there was a lot of discussion about a railroad from here, from 80, going south to Tonopah, where the nuclear waste going to Yucca. I mean, I don't know where that's at now, but if we had something in place here, that may determine in the future where the spur would be to go south if they ever decided to do that. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for commerce right here if we do this.
I'm not in favor of radioactive material moving to
Oh, I'm
Atlantic
not
County,
either,
so.
I'm just saying.
We played with that around, we played with that back in 2007, 8, 9, so,
But if we were in place and nobody else was, there's a lot of revenue.
yeah.
I mean, I don't particularly care for the idea,
Yeah.
but
Well, I'd like to say I'm excited. I really am excited about the project. I think if we can just get a good solid foundation and we move forward, yeah.
yeah, and bring all your ideas at the next meeting.
Okay. Just now at a sidebar after a break or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Let's take a 10-minute break. And we are live. Okay, number 7, for discussion, possible action to approve, disapprove the off-sale Lander County liquor license for Heidi Green with Tipsy Tulip Designs and.
Excuse me, Commissioner, you need to close this meeting and recess the Board of Lander County Commissioners and convene the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board prior to reading.
Okay, we're gonna stop the commissioners meeting and we're gonna open the, liquor board.
Just read the agenda, number 7.
Number 7, for discussion, possible
No, no,
action.
no, recess.
Oh, look at your agenda. Right here.
Oh, okay. Recess the Board of Lander County Commissioners and convene the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board composed of the Lander County Board of Commissioners and Sheriff Ron Unger. For discussion, possible action, approve, disapprove the on-off sale Lander County liquor license for Heidi Green with Tipsy Tulip Designs and other matters properly related thereto.
I really like that name, Tipsy Tulip.
Tipsy
You
Tulip,
buy flowers and get tipsy.
that's catchy.
I like it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Quick for the sheriff, on behalf of the sheriff. This is a liquor license application that we received for on and off-site sales. We've done our due diligence and reviewed the background and find no immediate disqualifiers and would recommend approval.
Could you just clarify for me, it's a flower shop, it says basically. But when they say on-sale liquor, that means they're gonna sit down and,
They could have for instance.
They could have a bar?
A wine party there on the premise.
okay, can I walk in and sit down and have a beer at their counter?
If they sell there, you could if it's approved.
I mean,
but-
that's what the on-site means, right?
Yes, but I think what they're thinking about is having wine, little wine
Okay.
things.
But she's going to sell.
I just wondered if it was groupings or if they actually
going
had a
to
place
sell wine.
where they serve the liquor.
But we're talking
Our
about the inn.
understanding is they want to participate in the wine walks,
Okay,
which the on-site
means they
will
can
allow them.
imbibe there at the store.
Yeah,
We're
once she
talking
has
about
her
on-site.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what yeah, on-site.
Anybody have any questions about this?
No, everything
Any
seemed to be
public
filled
comment?
out properly, yeah.
Legally, I think it's fine.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the on-off sale Lander County liquor license for Heidi Green with Tipsy Tulip Designs and other, with Tipsy Tulips Design.
I'll second it.
Brian made the motion, JR seconded it. Again, any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Adjourn the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board and reconvene the Lander County Board of County Commissioners, JUB.
Did you put down the sheriff's response? You voted for it. Thank you. I want the record to reflect that he approved it all.
For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the FY '23 FAA AIP grant application for the installed new runway 4-22 PAPI and REIL design-only project at the Battle Mountain Airport for an estimated FAA funding in the amount of $201,562 and the Lander County match of $13,438 and authorize the county manager to sign.
All right, good morning, Commission. David Meyer with JUB for the record. I'll start by apologizing. The FAA loves their acronyms, and this whole project is very much involved with that. So just to make this brief, the PAPIs are, it's a precision approach path indicator. They are lights off of the side of the runway that tell you whether you are on the path for hitting the runway ends correctly. Right now, runway 422 is the primary runway at the airport. I don't know why our numbers are black, they are white in real life. So currently there is a PAPI system serving the runway 422 end, 4 box off to the pilot's left. And on the runway 4 end, there's what's called a VASI vertical approach slope indicator. It's basically an earlier version of a PAPI that was installed in around 1980. So it's currently FAA owned. That used to be the way that they did these visual aids, was have FAA facilities install them and operate and maintain them. The FAA is getting away from that, and it creates a lot of headaches whenever we have to close the runway. Whenever there's maintenance that needs to be done, they have to come out of ELCO to do that. So as part of this project, we will pull out that existing runway 4 VASI system. We will, with the FAA's money, install a PAPI system that will match the runway 22 end, and that will become sponsor owned. So at that point in time, you will have control of it. We no longer have to coordinate with facilities and their staff whenever we need to do anything. That does mean the county is responsible for maintenance. We are anticipating using LED PAPIs, which are very low maintenance. So the maintenance would be really the only change to the county, is that would now be the county's responsibility. But we believe that the advantages of having it be FAA or county owned exceed the additional maintenance requirements. So also as part of the project, we will remove the existing PAPI on the runway 422 end. It is currently county owned already, and it was installed in 2006. We've had issues with it. It's been out of angle. It's required, work. So since we're already getting in and installing one on one runway end, we're gonna rip that one out. And that way they'll be the same vintage and new, and hopefully both LED, assuming that we're putting in the type that allows the FAA to purchase LEDs. So if it's a low voltage one, there are currently 2 manufacturers of that, so it's not a single source. If it has to come off of the runway, which would be high voltage, then right now there's only one source for that, so they would just be incandescent. So all of that we'll figure out as part of this design. And then the reels, the runway end identifier lights, there's currently none out at the 2 ends. They're flashing white lights that tilt upwards, so as a pilot comes in low visibility, it helps them identify the runway end, increases the safety of the runway. So that's what those 2 systems are, and this is the project that the FAA is given the go on for this year for design, and then next year we'll do the bidding and construction as part of a separate project. So not the usual pavements I like to do, but this will be a big help for the airport. So.
Well, since the FAA has already approved the county to proceed with this, I will make a motion that we approve the FAA fiscal year 23 AIP grant application and our estimated county match of $13,438, and authorize the county manager to sign.
I'll second.
Any public comment? Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded. Discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I would just like to thank David on the record here, because JUB and David have done an outstanding job for Lander County on our airports, and they continue to improve. Every time you go by the airport, there's something new happening there, and it's to the good work of JUB and David specifically that's making that happen. So thank you.
Always get a good deal.
And I'll add into that, from a legal standpoint, they do exceptional work.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, and that's a 2-way partnership. This county's been great to work with. I really
Well,
appreciate
that goes for
this board.
both of our airports, the whole
Yeah.
county, David. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and this, it's probably be the last time I'm here till the end of the year, so I want to especially thank this board. This has been a great board to work with, and I've appreciated.
You mean
every
for this
single
year?
Yeah.
You're not leaving.
No, sorry.
It sounded so
My last
final.
commission meeting, likely my last commission meeting before the end of the year.
Oh,
So
that's what I
wanted to
thought
thank the
you
whole
meant.
board and show my
Okay.
appreciation, so.
Well, thank you. Safe
Yeah.
travels and some beautiful holidays.
Yeah, thanks, all you too.
You need to squeeze a drag strip in there somewhere. What we got, number 9? For discussion possible action, approve, disapprove the reappointment of one individual to serve on the Lander County Public Land Use Advisory Planning Committee, which currently has one opening New terms are from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024, and the candidate is Dan Tamara.
I make a motion that we reappoint Dan Tamara to our Lander County Public Land Use Advisory Planning Commission. And the term is from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. And thank him for his service.
Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. Any comments? Any
Bert,
public
they,
comment?
we've been advertising for these boards to encourage participation. I know we're doing it in our county newsletter, or what other mediums are we using?
It's on Facebook.
Okay.
And yeah, we're trying to put it out as many places as we can.
Gotcha, okay, cool.
Is this a full board now? They have 5 members?
I am not certain, I'd have to look at that.
Well, according to the agenda, they have one opening,
Right.
so I would assume this.
But I don't know if that's because of the term or because of vacancies. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 10, an updated presentation from Scott Nicholas with Ormat. We're gonna table that.
We're tabling that one?
Okay, yeah. For discussion, possible action to approve, disapprove the canvass for the vote of the 2022 general election. Molly?
Hi, Commissioners. What I have for you is the canvass of the vote for the 2022 general election. We had a pretty good turnout. Everything went well. Everything was really smooth. I had, the last 2 days, I had brought in some people to help do a manual count to make sure all our numbers are good, so I'm pretty confident we're right on there.
I noticed that our turnout for our general was about 20% off of what it was for 2020. Any ideas why? I think when I looked at 2020, it was 80-some%, and then this one was 60.
2020 was a presidential, so that
Oh,
does
there you
make a
go.
big difference
That's
with
probably
that.
why, yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions? Comments, public comment? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the canvass of the vote for the 2022 general election.
I'll second it.
Kathy made the motion, JR seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on.
Thanks, Molly, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Is Denise coming? Is Denise coming
She's rescheduling.
for 12?
She's rescheduling it, I guess.
What?
Rescheduling it, because everyone.
So it's
got
being
sick
tabled?
notice.
Okay.
Her office is sick.
Oh, so we're tabling?
Okay, correspondence, reports, future agenda items. We're gonna have the one on the defining success. We have to have that.
Are we having the 2 meetings in December? Is that what we decided?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 meetings.
And I would like if we could have Endow, this is, look at my notes, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, now I.
Endow.
So, for Endow, for the ORMAT, for the impact, issue that's going on out there, when ORMAT does reschedule, that we have like the BLM and Endow, for a broader discussion on that issue.
On what issue?
What is the issue?
It's actually the sage hen habitat and mating for the lux. So, they were gonna come and give, a presentation, I guess, but there was some, I had gotten contacted by a couple of people with some questions on it. That's why I was gonna talk to you about that. And I can give him some more information, and if they wanna put it on the agenda, that way you can. I just was asked to.
So is this part of number 10?
Yeah, well, he was going to give that statement, that this is about McGinnis Hills and Jersey Valley, and so I was gonna ask some questions as well that had to do with that, with the lux, I'm not know if I'm pronouncing that right, for the sage hen.
You might wanna let Dan Tamara know that we're gonna have this discussion. He's on, I don't know if he's gonna be voted in as the president of the board of the Public Lands Board or not, but somebody from Public Lands should be here.
Okay, so you said McGinnis Hills and?
McGinnis Hills and Jersey Valley
Jersey Valley.
for the sage hen.
Well, if they have a recommendation, they should be,
What?
if they have recommendations to the county
Anything else?
And I'll give you.
I'm sorry, what happened to number 12?
Their office, I believe that their office is sick.
Oh, so we're just deferring that again too?
Yes.
Okay. So we're also going to put on then, what we want to be able to do with Pam on an advisory position. Does that have to come through the commissioners to do that?
Doesn't necessarily have to, but I think that it may be beneficial for me to at least put an item on the agenda for the commission to be aware of what direction, anybody that we bring on. I don't know that we wanna create a committee, because then you have the rules of,
Well, that's what I'm saying, what capacity are we gonna bring her on? She's just gonna volunteer to work with you right now, because we don't have anybody under natural resources, right?
That is correct.
Agenda item she's doing. Having somebody under natural resources like Jake.
yeah, so I think that it is what I would like to do is bring a combination of people in, and is who I'm thinking if I can, and I'm probably speaking out of turn here because I haven't spoke to him yet, but if I could get Dwayne Coombs and Pam to work together on behalf of the county, it could be beneficial, and that may be something that comes back before you guys in contract form. And that way they are falling under the umbrella of the county and are bound by some of the rules that we're bound by, because I don't think we just want to hand this out to any volunteer that wants to step up. A lot of this information,
Well, that's what I'm saying, how do you want us to put that together? Not,
I plan on putting it together and bringing it back before you. I just need commitment from both of them, and then we'll probably have to bring them on as contractors of some sort. That way there's some sort of responsibility.
well, then they have a little authority when they're talking to our BLM and such too.
Yeah, because they're gonna be representing this board, so it's pretty important that we put some guidelines on them.
Is that something we can still do this year? Because I know
Most certainly.
we're looking at time.
I can do that in my scope without the approval of the board, as long as so it'll just come back before you guys as a matter of transparency of who's.
Okay. Okay, but I don't wanna put it off, like till next January, because I know things are critical as they're going along now. So, okay, so you handle it, and then we'll finalize or ratify whatever we need to do, because it's so important with natural resources right now, and I know we're probably gonna look for somebody, but that doesn't mean we're gonna have somebody qualified who's gonna step up and take it.
Well, and it's happening all around our county. I know the Marigold's expansion that's going on out here in the dewatering there, the Robertson mine, and New Nevada Gold's doing some other expansions. So it's going to take more than volunteer time, and it's going to be a tremendous workload that somebody has to report back to this commission and get direction on what you guys would like them to do and what direction you want them to go.
Not only that, the legislature, don't they start in is that February?
I don't know.
Isn't it the legislature goes into session in February? And I think we need to have someone in place in case that our, resources are brought back, net proceeds are brought back in front of them, so we have someone in place to help us, so we're not scrambling.
Well, hopefully we have a governor that isn't pulling special sessions at midnight.
Well, I agree, but just in case, not that he would, but I just would like to make sure that we have our ducks in a row before that starts.
But the Assembly has a super majority of Democrats in Nevada. And what days did we say we're gonna meet in December? The 15th?
Our regular
meeting.
Okay, the 8th and the 22nd.
Yeah, that's the 8th and the 22nd.
Okay, any public comment on non-agendized items? Sean? No? Entertain a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded. Brian made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously.
Muted.